there. Okay, yes. Now, as I said, the gratitude in your mind, grateful, thank you very much for your time. And then a gratitude to the art as a historical thing that exists, and the bow is in another direction. Okay, so let's start as we usually begin. Well, we're gonna have our right foot forward to start today. I'm gonna start doing it a little more because we need to work both stances with the left and the right. So right foot forward, left foot back. Hands on the dot. Now, only the hips go forward and then come back. Now, the feet are gonna keep on the ground. They're not gonna be rising up and down like we sometimes do. But what you wanna do is you wanna feel the 2 points of balance on your foot. The back, where the ankle connects, and the front, which is sort of just behind the pad of the base of the toes, right here, right there. And it's a specific point called kidney 1. So the front of the foot, when you go forward, you bring your weight to the front, and when you go back onto the back foot, you're putting your weight through your ankle in the back of your foot. So pay attention to that. Now, once you feel like you got the motion going through the hips correctly, think about your focus forward with your eyes. You're looking in front like you're trying to pick out a person in a crowd, right? You see a group of people all around and they're like, there's the person I want to talk to. And the idea is that it becomes linear. So the focus comes into the front. Now, keeping your eyes on that person in front, when you come back, turn your hips to the side. When you go forward, bring your hips back to the front. So that your hips can move free or distinct from your head. Your head doesn't have to follow them. Now remember to breathe. Breathe in when you come back. Out when you go forward. Now go forward and go back to just like a train track, straight back and straight forward. And remember that you're focusing your attention directly in front of you. Now, that's called linear sight or direct sight. But we're going to use this as a way to practice peripheral vision. So instead of just focusing on what's directly in front of you, you will be aware of what's directly in front of you, likely your camera or your iPad or whatever you're watching this on is. But you're also going to be paying attention to the two sides of your vision. So you're seeing the whole frame in front of you, the whole screen, but your eyes stay forward, okay? So back and forth, paying attention to peripheral and direct. And now keep that in your mind, this idea of an expanded vision, and do the hip turn. Now, very deep, very slow breath in. Focus on the peripheral and out. In, out. One more in and out. Now, left foot to right, breathe in, cleansing breath. on the hips, down, up the middle, and flip and push up. All right, so what I just introduced there was something I'm sure I've mentioned before to some degree, is how you see, how you actually pay attention to what the visual information you're getting is a part of the practice. So when I do the form, that's what I'm doing right here with my eyes, is I'm seeing the periphery. And it's always, 180 degrees or so from one side to the other. So think about that when you're practicing the form and you turn to the side. You've gone from this 180 degree to this 180 degree, but your hands are always in front of you. So there's this dynamic of watching the hand without watching the hand so much that you forget about the background. Now, I say that because I want to exercise both sides of the body, so I want to do the other stance with the left foot forward, but the principle doesn't change. So the principles are these ideas that are just universal to techniques, but techniques need to be trained on both sides of the body and in contrasting directions and all this kind of thing, because they're a physical action, but the principle is more of an intellectual concept. So having said that, put the left leg forward, hands here, and then just immediately drop into peripheral vision, back and forth. And I'll start to focus a little more on the physical movement again now, that's been established. So again, then thinking more of the physical movement, think about the weight going onto the ankle and then onto the front of the foot. Now, as you do that, you think of your 2 feet as one big foot, where you're really just a wave of energy is passing to the back of the foot and to the front of the foot. At least I kind of think of it that way. And now, add in the dimension of turning the waist, but keeping the eyes forward. And now we're going to start to add in movement. So when we come back, our left hand, which is the front foot, will come back with us. The palm will pass across the front of the eyes, and then it'll drop. And here, it'll be pushing out to the side. So. Now, don't let yourself follow your hand with your eyes. Just let the hand move across the front of the eyes, but keep your vision expanded. So the hand rises and falls in your vision like a cloud in the sky. It's there and then it passes, and it's nothing to worry about. Add in the right hand. As you go forward, reach. Now keep your eyes out into the environment. And forward in front of you. So, a little faster. Warm up body a little more. And then slow it right down. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Very slow. Eyes forward, gather, feel the energy pull in, and then push forward towards what you're looking at. Right foot up. One more cleansing breath. Okay, so it's a little bit more muscle development, but remember that concept when we're practicing the form, as I said, and just to relate it to a self-defense strategy. If I have to defend myself, a punch comes in or a grab, and I connect, right? I do a block, I do something to intercept that. If my vision goes directly to that point of contact, like this, like it's narrow this way, then I lose paying attention to the bigger situation, and that puts me in a much more vulnerable position. So you have to develop a sense of dealing with the situation at hand, but not losing your perspective on the bigger situation too. So they would always say that you should have three perspectives in any situation. You should be able to understand the perspective of what would be like the antagonist and the protagonist. So like the adversarial person and then maybe the person defending themselves or whatever it is. Understand both of those sides, but also understand it from an objective point of view that's separate from either of them. And then you can have true, what they would say, understanding. So that's all part of it, right? There. So put your feet up. And sink down. Now, I want to warm up the shoulder. And the shoulder is connected directly to the elbow, of course. So from here, we'll start with the right hand. Just turn your hips. Bring up your elbow. And your elbow comes up, your right elbow, it comes up towards about the height of your nose, and then it comes back, and then it swings down again. So make sure you're turning from your waist and just developing the movement from your waist to your elbow. And now reverse the motion. So you come up on the side, down, and then it falls in front. Drawing a big circle with your elbow. And then drop the right arm and left elbow back. Coming up the middle to nose height and around and back. From your hips, connect your hips. And then the other way, coming up and falling down. Coming up and falling down. And then drop, hands up, hold the ball. Shift the left foot over to the right. Cat stance, bring the foot up, hold it up. Now big circle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold it. Down, switch feet, up, nice and high. Forward, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Backwards, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down. Now, up again with the left, and then kick out to the side, and then come back up. 2, 3. Make sure you bring your knee nice and high when you come back up. 4, 5. And then down, switch legs. Again, bring your knee nice and high. They'd say put a cup of tea on your knee and keep it there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And down. Shake it out. Put your feet out wide. And then reach forward. Sink down. Come up, breathe in. Sink even lower. Now breathe out and make a box. Sink down very low. Your fingertips up. And then reach forward. And then let your hands fall to the ground, stretching down. Reach your fingertips forward along the floor. And then reach and grab your ankles and pull your head down. Straighten your back. And turn your head, or sorry, turn yourself to the left. Push the right foot away, left foot to the side, sinking into the stretch. Sink into it even more. Now turn, under stretch. Hips are straight to the side, head is up, sink down. Put the knee down, push your weight forward against your left foot. Bring your weight back and sink down to Tai Chi stretch. Turn your foot, straighten your back, and settle towards the right, but take the moment to let the hips readjust, and then really start to push the left foot away. Into it even more. Turn, runner stretch. Back knee down and lean forward. And then come up and sink into Tai Chi stretch on the left. Bring your hands down, your feet in. Hang and stretch. Breathe in and breathe out. Then circle your hips one way and then the other way. And then shake it out a bit. All right. So, upper body. Put your hands out. And now just think of the idea that you can just go like this and pull and contract, like pull in, and then you can expand out just from here. Just this lifting and rising and lifting of the elbows. Okay? So breathe in, breathe out. In and out. Now relax your hips, breathe in, bend your knees, let your weight sink down. And then push out, but don't tense your lower body, just the upper body. 3 more. 1, 2. Push those elbows away from each other. And then 3, push the elbows and the fingertips away from each other. And now from there, relax, circle your wrists forward. And wrists and elbows. And now big circles, falling forward, hands crossing above the head. And then drop. Now up, elbows expand out, and then the hands, and then the wrists go backwards. And then the wrists and elbows go backwards. And then big circles crossing above the head. And then drop the arms again. And then 3 times. Breathe in, bring the beach ball over your head, smash it on the ground. 1, 2, 3. And then take a breath in. Hold the ball, feel the ball. Take another breath in. Now push the ball up towards someone in a helicopter above you and give it away. And then just stay here, reaching up as high as you can. Now grab your left hand with your right hand, or left wrist with your right hand and pull up until you have to go on your tippy toes. And then bring your heels down, let your arm fall, and twist around to the back of the room. And then go back to the front, bring your arm above your head, and pull the arm open to the side. And then back to the center and drop. And again, breathe in, bring up the ball, release. Breathe in, gather energy, push it up, and let it go. And then stretch. Stretch. Grab the right hand with the left and pull up on your tippy toes. Keep stretching up. And then heels down, drop the arms, hold the wall behind you. And then back to the center, bring the hand over the head and pull across. And then back to the center and drop. Shrug your shoulders, relax. And then raise your left hand. Give it a pull. In, twist to the outside. Back out, push back. Now, I think this is like a bit of a new one for you guys here at this class. So, put your left hand like this, thumb is down. Take your right hand, thumb is up, and put the palms together. And then, push your fingers of your left hand in like an arc towards your forearm on your left, with the palm heel of the right hand this way. So it looks like this from above, here, but I'm holding it like this. Okay, so you feel a stretch in the top of the wrist all the way into the elbow, you should, hopefully. We'll keep doing this until we make sure everybody gets it. And then give it a shake. And then the same sequence on the right, so extend out, pull back. Come up and in, twist. Fingers up, push back. And then thumb down, thumb up, palms together, push in. Give it a shake. Turn your head to the left, stretch to the left. Turn your head to the right, stretch to the right. Back to the center, look up and stretch up. Look down and stretch down. And now swing up to the right, and then down, and swing up to the left, and down. Now, look down, swing up to the right, turn your head across, level, and then down. 1, 2, 3. Now to the opposite, swing up to the right, or left, and then across. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So, I know I went a little longer on the intro part about the explanation, but that idea of how to use your eyes in peripheral vision versus focus vision is an important part of practicing the Tai Chi. So hopefully that was something that you'll keep thinking about when we practice it. Now, I know there was a new person here last week, but I don't think they're online right now. No. So maybe they're watching the recording, but it confuses me a little bit as to what I should do. I think what I'll do is I'll review the first set with you guys. I have a new concept I want to teach as well today. And then maybe we'll start looking at the second set. Let's see where people are at. But let's review the first set really good again one more time today, okay? So let's run the set. from here. Do this so you can see my feet a little better. Here. Okay, so I'm facing the direction I'm going to do the foreman. My feet are together. My big toes are touching. My heels are touching. I'm holding the dantian. My thumb should be about the height of my belly button, and then my fingers are crossing. It doesn't really matter which way. It's more about what you feel comfortable with. And you want to become aware standing like this of a number of things. But one of them is that the dantian isn't just the front of the belly here. It's this entire area of the body here. So the sacrum at the back, the lower back, the hips on the back, all of that kind of connects. And so one of the feelings you want from this stance is to develop stability, internal stability. So so keep standing like this and just think about that. But if you take your two fists and you push them together like this, that's roughly the size of the very bottom vertebrae of the spine as it comes out of the hips here. It's a big piece of bone. And then it gets a little smaller each one up until it connects to the ribs where it gets quite a bit smaller. But those first few of them here are your stability joints for your lower body, your stability bones. And so much of what we do relies on them, but most people don't think about them. They're very powerful. So when you're standing here, think about these big vertebrae in your back right here. And now look and begin peripheral vision. Step out and now take this point on the back and this point in the front you're holding and let them sink down through the hips into the feet. And then the hands fall. And now, keeping track of what's happening in your movements, but also what's happening in the room around you, begin to form. So here, I can see my hands and I can see peripherally here. Okay, so that's form. Why don't you guys give me some feedback where you're at with it? What should we do? Who feels like they get stuck somewhere?
Okay. Just the last few, the scoop the ice cream and the one before that.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Anybody concur with that? Does that seem right about a good idea?
Yes,
Yes.
it's Lori here. The one thing I'd like is, as you're going through it, just the one time, foot placement. Like the front is facing forward, the back at a 45, or is it parallel to the front? Is it just so that I can understand, because I can't see your feet when they're on the ground.
Yeah, that's absolutely reasonable. Yeah, okay. So let me do the end of the form as Bev asked, and I'll look at the feet there, and then if there's other questions about the stances, just let me know, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's have a look at this. Now, just bring up another conceptual thing that's really important though, is where is my, this will do. Okay, so there are 8 directions that we move inside when we're doing the form. So when you begin the form and you're facing here, this is one direction here, right? So it's straight in front of you. This naturally implies the direction straight behind you. So you have 2 directions, and that creates a line. And that line also exists on the sides. So you have straight for the left, straight for the right. That creates 4 possibilities within the circle at 90-degree angles. And they're your main 4 directions. But then there are a second tier of directions that are on the 45s. And they're not second tier in like importance, they're very important, but they're built on the first 4. So that's why I explain it that way. So you have the first 4 cardinal directions, then you have 45-degree angles to each corner, and you get 8 directions, okay? So your feet are always going to be supporting your weight in the direction of the movement according to that concept of the 8 directions. So if I'm going, if I'm at the end of the second or the first set, as we were talking about, when you've done the to the hook punch, so my direction is straight in this direction here. So it would have been my left when I started the form. Now, my feet at this moment of the hook punch are what's called forward stance or long stance or front stance or a number of different things. And all this is the natural position the lower body has to be in to have power transmit up to the upper body. So one of the things I use as an example is, imagine you had to push a car. Because we don't do this these days so much, but when I was younger, you have to do this thing called jump starting a car sometimes. And what it meant is you had to get the car moving, and then you put it into gear, and then by turning the engine that way, it would turn on. And so if I'm gonna push a car, I'm certainly not gonna push a car like this, with my feet like this, because I have no strength. So you just think about naturally, how would you do that? Well, I'd have a long stance, fairly long, and I'd space my feet apart. I'm not gonna have a lot of strength with my feet in a straight line like this. And I would just connect in exactly like the Tai Chi form tells you to. So it's not a specific type of stance for Tai Chi, it's just the natural strength of the body being directed in a direction. Okay, so that's what's happening here. Now, we're gonna drop our hand straight down the center here. And as we do that, when we get to the bottom, which is just below the belly button into the dantian area here, we're gonna turn, rotating our hand around our middle knuckle. And then I call it scooping the ice cream because it's like I'm scooping something up. As I scoop it up, I'm gonna bring up my right knee. But to do that, my left foot has to turn out slightly. Just like when you brush the knee, that angle it turns out, allow that to happen. Because that's what's gonna allow your foot to slide up comfortably and then stand up here. Now, in this posture, my left foot is still off to the corner, 45 degrees roughly. Roughly, don't get too concerned about it, but it's off to the center, off to the side. So is this foot, because I'm kicking with my toes off to the side, but my direction is still straight in where I started from, so it would have been this way, okay? So I do that, I go from here, I drop my hand and I turn my foot, and I pick up my other foot, and I do the kick. So the kick comes down, then I bring my foot back up, and then as I put my foot down, my right foot, heel first, I'm still slightly allowing my toes off to the side. My left hand aligns to the center. My weight transfers to my right, and I gotta move back a little bit to see on camera, here. And then my left foot, which is off to the side somewhat, comes forward to cat stance, and then I step out again to the strong, long stance that we just had to do this. Okay, so if I go this way, the feet look like this. Turn the foot, do the kick, put the foot down. See how both feet are slightly off this way? Then as I come here, they come into the center more, and now they're both focused forward to that point. Okay, so does that help both of those questions? How to do this and the feet? Hope so. Okay.
Oh,
So
I was
what-
just gonna say, I loved it for that sequence. Either today or at another point, if you could do it for the first few moves, the exact same thing, because we're going from facing one direction to another direction, and just watching your feet move would be really helpful for me, even just once.
No, it's good. I'm glad you're paying attention to that. That's wonderful. There's an old teaching that teachers of Tai Chi often say that people always start in their hands, and then you got to direct the motion through the hand all the way to the foot, and then you get it. And so paying attention to your feet is really a good sign. Let me just finish off the first set though, because there is a couple little movements there, and I'll do that in detail, and then I'll come back to the beginning again. Okay, so if we go back to here, we finish this up. So I drop my hand. Now, that's a blocking surface or a redirecting surface. This outside of the forearm here, anything that comes at you here, you can redirect on this surface this way. And then when you do that, like if it was a kick or a punch or something, and I was blocking it this way, you scoop, and then you can control that limb. So it goes one, and then you control the limb. You come up, you do the kick, and then you're pushing into a person, maybe at the sternum, maybe at the side of the shoulder, and then you're poking into the throat, and then punching. Okay, so don't forget to try to think about those things too. So from here, I block a kick, is what I usually teach. You block a kick here, and then you block a punch here, and as you do that, you kick their knee. And then from here, you push away, you poke with your fingers to create maximum distance, and then you punch with your right hand. Then you're gonna roll back, and what I mean by that is you're gonna sort of, just like when we practice at the beginning of class, bring your weight all the way back to your right foot. But what's important here is that the hands go from here to palms up outside of the shoulders, They can't be inside, it has to be outside. And then you come all the way back, and then you push up and away. Okay? And the reason for that is, if you imagine somebody doing a two-handed grab, coming in with two hands, you want to clear their arms past your shoulders. If you let them get a grip on your shoulders or something, that's no good. You got to get out past the shoulders, and then you push them away. Okay? Okay, so I do that. 1, 2, and now my weight's on my front foot on my right, and I'm going to keep it there and turn, bring in my left foot, turn my feet now to the front, and then do my big circle. And then of course this move is called carrying the tiger to the mountain. So that just ends the set nicely. Now, I'll go to the first part of the set. We'll look at the feet again. Let me do it this way, I suppose. So we step out, okay? We come up and then we come down. Now, my weight's gonna go onto my left foot, and then I'm going to bring up my right foot because it's empty. And this is where the form is teaching you, from like I was talking about at the beginning of classes, you have a weight a point on the back of your foot and then on the front of your foot. So here, you're connecting in your mind to the back of the foot, heel. And then from there, when you pour the tea, you're connecting to the front of the foot. And that's really an important thing because the front of the foot is where you're going to pivot better. You know, you can pivot on your heel, but if I want to pivot my whole body, I'll show you this. If you guys just watch this, I'll try to demonstrate this. If I want to do a really fast turn, maybe just to here, and I pivot on my heel, my head has a tendency to do this because it's not a great way to do that, basically. But if I pivot on the front of my foot, on the ball of the foot, so to speak, my head can stay perfectly level. And that's really important. So that's being set up right here, okay? So you go to here and you put that weight to the front part of the foot. Now, from there, you pick up the ball You want to think of it that way. And as you do, you're pivoting the foot. You can see my feet. Can you see my feet? Hopefully. You're pivoting the foot on the front of it as you bring the ball up so that you bring your hips to be aligned to the corner, right? So this is a spiral upwards, okay? And now I do step heel first here, but that's just, again, to emphasize the transfer of the weight from the back of the foot to the front of the foot. Okay, so far so good there. Okay, so from here, as I bring my weight to the front of the foot, I can't stay there, right? I don't want to stay in this. This is a vulnerable position for me if I'm not doing something in it in the moment. So as soon as I've done what I needed to do here, which is to throw away, I don't want to stay there. I come back and I bring my weight back to my back foot. And that's the moment that I want you to think about the idea that you heard or sensed somebody behind you, okay? So from here, I throw away. I don't want to stay there at the edge of the cliff, so I come back to a more stable position, and then I hear somebody behind me, right? And it's along this line, from corner to corner, and then what I do is, I bring my left foot up. I turn it in towards my right foot. And then I put the front of the left foot down, and I continue to rotate 180 degrees, but now it's on the front of the left foot as I bring up my right. And then I can step with my right foot into the corner comfortably. Okay, so I'll do it again. Here, let me do this. Just my feet, pay attention to that. So if you go to here, you just tip the water jug. Now I'm spiraling on the front of my foot as I come up. And then I step and I transfer my weight all the way to the front of the left foot. Then I bring the weight back, I bring the left foot up, I turn it inwards, and where I put it down, I plant the front of it and I spiral on that point to complete my turn. My right foot is now empty, I can step with it and push away. Okay, I'll do it one more time. From here, 1, 2, back, turn, pull in, step away. Okay, does that answer questions?
Yes, that was very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
Yeah, those are important things to pay attention to. So, okay, we have plenty of time. We're doing lots today, getting through lots of stuff. So I wanted to introduce basically a posture and an exercise, a simple one, that should help with the form, and also is its own thing in itself, quite interesting. And it's, of course, I don't just teach Tai Chi, but I teach karate and jujitsu and weaponry and qigong and like a bunch of other different things. And I really think it's useful to kind of mix and match a little bit and see the similarities between different arts, because I think there's more similarities ultimately than not. And it's interesting to me too, like karate, for instance, has become seen as not an internal energy dynamic art like Tai Chi is. And then Tai Chi has become totally disconnected largely from its martial art components in a lot of cases. And neither of those things are really true about either art. Karate is a very energy-based internal system ultimately. It's just that it takes a while to get there. It goes a different route. And Tai Chi, of course, has amazing self-defense applications. So to rebalance them, I think they both have a lot to offer each other. But even more than that, I'm not the only person who's ever thought that. So there's a karate style that I teach, or there's a karate style that I teach within the framework of, that's represented by the dragon on my shirt. It's called the Nahate system, often called Goju-Ryu. And Goju-Ryu was sort of founded in the early 20th century, as it is now, by a guy named Miyagi Chojun. Miyagi Chojun did what his teacher did and what his teacher's teacher did, which was he traveled to China from Okinawa and studied Kung Fu, essentially, which included Tai Chi, and then came back to Okinawa and then that had a huge influence on the karate of the native Okinawans. So there has always been an exchange between these lineages, and there's even a kata in karate, which is like the Tai Chi form is, that's basically like a Tai Chi form. It's almost the same thing. So anyways, this is a posture that really comes out of White Crane system that was adopted by Miyagi Chojin that I think helps Tai Chi students learn a very important dynamic about how to breathe and how to focus their musculature in their movements, their body's muscle flexations and expansions, okay? So all you need to do is one little stance, which has already been done all throughout the form. And it's based on this idea. If I put my feet shoulder width apart, and then I naturally walk without thinking about it, roughly what I'm going to be doing is taking my one foot and putting the heel down about the distance of the front toe of the other foot, right? So it's about there and about there. That's my natural walking pattern for most of us. So you take that, but you just martial art it a little bit. So you take that first step and then you grip the floor. So you're not just casually putting your feet down, but you're grabbing the floor. You're holding yourself there as if you're on a ship and it's moving and you got to keep stable. So when you do that, you roll your hips up and forward like we do. And now think about the idea of carrying the tiger to the mountain. Okay? When you carry the tiger to the mountain, one fist distance from your elbow to your rib cage. Okay? So this point here, you should be able to put your fist underneath on the other arm, and that's where it sits. Okay? This hand needs to be outside of the shoulder. So it can't be here, it's got to clear the shoulder. Okay? Now, if you simply take your hands and turn them over and bend the wrists, you have White Crane posture for this movement. So White Crane would come up like this. Sometimes it would come up in a little bit of a deeper stance, but the point is this position. Karate takes the position and makes two fists and turns them over this way. So either way though, it's the same position, it's just a different expression of the palm. We're going to do the karate way because it's actually good to teach you how to make a fist. So from here, this is an exercise for channeling all of your focus through the dantian, through all of the muscles of the body and your breathing. Okay? So all we're going to do is we're going to keep one hand up in front and take one hand, we'll do the left hand first, and breathe in, filling and expanding the belly. And now pushing from here, keeping the wrist right in front of the elbow, contract the stomach and push out to the punch. And then from here, a quick breath in, and then on a quick breath out, rotate your elbow down and back to position. Okay, and that's like crane wing. The crane wing comes out, and then it comes back into position. It's the same thing. Okay, so try it again, but alternate hands. So breathe in 1, 2. 1, 2. Breathe in the other hand. Focus on your stomach muscles, breathe out. Okay, so that's it. That's all it is. You can do it in a number of steps, and there's a little bit of stuff that they can do at the beginning and ending, but that's the core of it. Now, put your hands up like this, and take your right hand over to your left side, and feel along the side of the back of the ribs here for muscle, and try to figure out how to get that muscle back here to contract. Okay, it's a little bit of a different feeling than most of the muscles you're used to controlling. But try to find that. It's right here, right here. Okay, that muscle is the lat muscle, and it connects the shoulder to the hip. And every movement in the Tai Chi is done correctly when that muscle is engaged. So this is a posture that trains these muscles to act in exactly the correct way while you do the form. But it only contains itself within here. That's all it does, because it's working those muscles directly without any other dynamic being thrown in. So this is why this exercise is so important or so useful, is if you practice this, it will make everything in your form more connected through your torso, through the muscles here. Because this little bit of muscle up here in the top of the shoulder here, it's important for this kind of movement, but it's this muscle here that connects the shoulder to the rest of the body. And so you need to engage this muscle to really develop. So we're gonna do 5 of these punches as a Qigong exercise, okay? So put your right foot forward, left foot here, bring up your hands. Now, 5 punches, just stay with me. Think of it as a Qigong, like we would call it a strong Qigong, not a soft Qigong, strong Qigong, okay? Breathe in, 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. Good. Now, release the hard Qigong with soft Qigong. Breathe in. And relax. In. And relax. And 1 more. In. And relax. So, if you do this once in a while and you practice this, you develop the awareness of these muscles. And of course, when you're done, if you feel like you're too wound up, you do cleansing breaths, it will increase your Tai Chi. And I'll leave this thought with this idea that San Chin, which is what they call this exercise in the karate, means 3 great accomplishments, great powers, great things you can sort of achieve, great challenges. And it relates to the whole class. So the first one is body and mind and body coming together. So the idea of just doing a simple exercise is very Zen because it just gives you one single vehicle to get your body and your mind to work together. Get your breath, your body, and your mind to all come together. So that's the first battle of Sanchin, which is, again, this. The second battle is sight with perception. And that's what I was talking about with the vision thing. So I focus, I can see directly in front of me, but I can see peripherally. That's sight, but perception is bigger. Perception is a lot bigger than just visual. So you want to dynamically encase your sight within your greater perception. And then the third great battle or great challenge is called breath with spirit. But that is a very difficult thing to explain easily. It really just means it's like a person who's truly inspired, a person who's just absolutely in the moment, just so inspired that there's nothing's going to stop them. That kind of energetic dynamic. That comes in time, again, through dynamic breathing exercises, through continuous practice. So, how are we doing here? Perfect. Any questions about any of that stuff that I covered today so far? I know there was a lot. You guys feel like you got enough? Why don't we do the form one more time and then we'll call it a day. Okay, let's do that. So from here, one of the ways you should try to think about this too is don't try to remember anything, simply train every day and then eventually the information will just be there. All right, that should do it for today. Yeah, any final questions before we're done? Well, remember to train every day, hopefully, and have a wonderful week ahead. I wish you guys all the best. Thank you again for your time. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.